In the early 1960s, in Birmingham, Alabama, and many other places in the South, schools, buses, parks, and stores were segregated or separated by race. Segregation was supposed to mean separate but equal, but it didn't. In addition, the African American community faced violence and arrests if they tried to fight segregation. Still, people bravely protested. In 1963, a group of adults began Project C, a campaign that used peaceful sit-ins and marches to challenge segregation, and dared authorities to make arrests until the jails were full. They hoped the arrest would draw the attention of the national media and hasten the end of segregation. Arnetta Streeter Gary was a teenager in Birmingham during that time.
What was the day in the life of a teenager, of an African-American teenager growing up in Birmingham?
Okay, in Birmingham, like I said, I was raised in Titusville, a small part of Birmingham. We did everything within the community. And if you went to another community, it was to another black community. If you had to come shopping, you came downtown. You could not go in the dressing room. You had to just assume that it was gonna fit or whatever. We had a couple restaurants that you could go to the back of the restaurant and order, no seating areas.
In 1963, adults in Birmingham were fighting to end segregation, but they were having trouble drawing attention to their cause. To draw attention to the movement, adults in Birmingham needed to get arrested through peaceful protesting so they could fill the jails. After nearly a month, only a handful of adults had been arrested. The jails weren't even close to full. That's when young activists, teenagers, and even children still in elementary school stepped in to help. The kids knew they would likely be arrested for participating in the protests, but if the jails were filled with young people, the nation would have to take notice. The children of Birmingham could determine the success of the civil rights movement in Birmingham and beyond.
The adults was aware that the children were going to be arrested, and that they were kind of fighting among themselves, the leaders, on whether these kids were going to be involved or not. Later, Dr. King said that this was one of the best strategies that they could have ever used. When they put thousands of children out there, and then they had the children in facilities that were not suitable for jailing. President Kennedy said, "No way, you're not gonna do our children like this."
Talk to me about your perspective on hate.
You know, I think about Bull Connor.
Yes.
I know you've heard of Bull
Yes,
Connor.
that's
He actually hated the color black, any African American. I remember him telling the firemen, "Turn on the hose." He would ride around in a armor tank with his dog, this great big black German Shepherd, whose name was Nigger.
Oh, wow.
Great big black German Shepherd. And he would actually sick that dog on people. I was one of the children that the water was put on.
Oh.
From the fire hose. And we were trained to take our hands, lock our fingers, and put our head down so that we would not get head injuries. But still, it was devastating.
50 years later in 2013, hundreds of children and adults marched down the same streets and sang the same songs that protesters sang in the 1960s. They marched to commemorate people like Arnetta Streeter Gary, who made many sacrifices in the fight for civil rights.
The children, we were prepared to go to jail. We knew that that it was a chance of us going to jail when we marched out of 16th Street Baptist Church. We knew that it was a chance of us going to jail. And I never will forget when I came out of the basement of the 16th Street, and I looked out there and I saw all of the people and the cameras, the police and all. It was a feeling that came over me. and my eyes filled up with tears. I would always tell my students that they are empowered to do something for themselves. That's what the children of 50 years ago did.